$543,000. You read that title right. The first two people have officially been charged with attempting to defraud the Paycheck Protection Program. If you aren't aware of what the Paycheck Protection Program is, basically it's a program set up to help ensure the livelihood of small businesses and its employees during this COVID-19 crisis. Congress set aside just over $600 billion in order to allow businesses with fewer than 500 employees cover things like payroll and some operating expenses over an 8-week period. And if the funds are spent on the correct things, there's the potential for that loan to be forgiven after that 8-week period. And I've been warning for weeks that this program will likely just be filled with fraud and people trying to either fake businesses or embellish numbers just to try to get a piece of the money for themselves that isn't necessarily deserved. And the Justice Department just last week announced that they were going to keep a close eye on Paycheck Protection Program recipients and applicants in order to try to prevent as much fraud as possible. However, that's a monumental task given how many millions of businesses have applied for this. But as we can see, they're already catching people in the action. The reason that fraud is going to be such an issue with this program is just the need for speed. The fact that they wanted to get funds out as quickly as possible means that they lighted some of the normal loan requirements that are needed in order to get businesses funding. If you've ever applied for a loan through a business, you know that it's a huge pain, it takes a long time. But with this program, I filled it out myself, I saw this firsthand. All I needed to submit was a payroll summary, some 941 forms, some articles of incorporation, and then boom, the loan was submitted. And all of those documents could have easily been faked or embellished, and I can definitely see how someone would attempt to try to defraud this. How they would actually receive forgiveness, I have no idea, but in order to actually get the loan documents through, seemed pretty darn easy. So on to what happened. Two men, one from Massachusetts, one from Rhode Island, applied for paycheck protection loans through several business entities and allegedly claimed to have, this is a quote, have dozens of employees earning wages at 4 different business entities, when in fact there were no employees working for any of the businesses, the Justice Department and CNBC stated. They were charged in a federal criminal complaint with conspiracy to make false statements to influence the Small Business Administration and conspiracy to commit bank fraud, and one man was charged with aggravated identity theft. Piling up the charges there. They mean business when it comes to this program because they want to make sure the funds are going to the right hands. The two allegedly discussed via email the creation of fraudulent loan applications and supporting documents to seek loans guaranteed by the SBA for COVID-19. So they had a digital trail of exactly what they were trying to do to prove, that they had fraudulent documents. That's kind of ridiculous. And this is what I mentioned before. Having fake documents in order to apply is only good enough to get you like 25% of the way there, because no one has a firm grasp yet as to what is even going to be required for the forgiveness on the back end. I even asked my banker if he knows anything, and he said he hasn't received any really guidance from the SBA on what's going to be required for forgiveness. So this is a huge gamble that anyone who's trying to attempt fraud here is taking, that they're just hoping that it doesn't require something that they can't provide for forgiveness on the back end. So that seems crazy to me to even try, but undoubtedly tons and tons more people are going to keep trying. The two separately were approved for loans in the amount of $438,500 and $105,000 under 4 different business entities. And authorities stated that one of the men claimed, and this is another quote, that he had dozens of employees at 3 restaurants he owned, 2 in Warwick, Rhode Island, and 1 in Berlin, Massachusetts. These guys went all in on this. A further investigation determined that the two of the restaurants were not even open before the COVID-19 pandemic, and that they were closed by March 10th, having to do with the fact that their liquor licenses were pulled from the establishments before the COVID crisis even happened. So these weren't even like established businesses before Corona was even a thing, or at least before the funding for coronavirus was even a thing. And this guy had no ownership and no role whatsoever in the 3rd business that he applied for. I'm not sure exactly what he was attempting to do here, but this is where the identity theft part comes into play. So this man attempted to apply with 3 restaurants 2 of which were shut down beforehand, and 1 of which he had no affiliation to. That's ballsy. This guy, like I said, he went all in. The other man allegedly applied for a loan under a company named Doc Wireless, again, allegedly claiming he had 7 employees on payroll. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware that he was giving this information to an FBI undercover agent over the phone, thinking that he was talking to a loan processor. Wow. There was no evidence of ever having such workers on his payroll under Doc Wireless. This is absolutely wild that people are even attempting this, and it's obviously very sad because these funds are specifically for small businesses that are struggling and will undoubtedly fail if they don't receive this, and people who won't get paychecks if they won't receive this, and there's just people who are trying to take money that will go to those establishments that absolutely need the funds. It's unfortunate that this is happening, but it's undoubtedly going to keep happening, and we're going to keep on seeing more and more stories like this, and probably some high-profile stories of numbers up in the millions of dollars. But I thought that this story was interesting, so I decided I needed to present it to you guys as soon as possible. This just happened today. Until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.